Mm, mm.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. My time says 6 o'clock, and I think out of respect and the interest of time, we are going to start on time tonight. So we have 32 participants right now, so we'll just have people join us throughout the night. But I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself and get the evening started. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. My name is Linda Chow, and I am currently the district administrator for curriculum and assessments. And one of the parts of my portfolio is overseeing and assisting with the Late French Immersion program. It's a district program option in which we are going to tell you more about tonight. So if you are here from Montessori, you can log off now. There will be no judgment, but this is the Late French Immersion presentation tonight. So welcome and thank you for being with us tonight. Now, before we begin, we always start with our land acknowledgement. So the Richmond School District acknowledges and thanks the First Peoples of the Hunkaminam language group on whose traditional and unceded territories we teach, learn, and live, where the Musqueam people continue their traditions and cultural education. We acknowledge the elders, the knowledge keepers, and counselors of traditional teachings. We acknowledge the ancestors, those who have walked before us, and thank them for their stewardship of this beautiful place. The district is a vibrant learning community that fosters students' engagement, creativity, and well-being in inclusive learning environments. Tonight, we have two presenters, Sarah Lai and Brett Cameron, who are administrators over at Whiteside Elementary, who are joining us from the Semiahmoo, Katzie, Tsawwassen, and Kwantlen territories. Joining us tonight are going to be the following list of presenters. So we have Regina Vassallo, who is the principal at Diefenbaker. She can give a little wave there. Hi, Regina.
Hi, everyone.
We have Soledad Stevenson, who is her admin partner and vice principal at Diefenbaker Elementary. Okay, and we have Brett Cameron, principal over at Whiteside Elementary.
Bonjour.
We have Sarah Lai, the vice principal at Whiteside Elementary.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
And I introduced myself earlier. I'm Linda Chow, and I'm the district administrator for curriculum and assessment. We have Christine Canis, who is our French K-12 teacher consultant.
Bonsoir.
And Andrea Lupini, who is a late French immersion teacher at Diefenbaker Elementary. Hey. Alrighty, so thank you very much to our presenters who are also joining us this evening. So here is tonight's agenda. We are going to start with an overview of the Late French Immersion program, which we will often refer to as LFI. We are going to go into a little bit of the student experiences in the LFI program, and we are going to be joined by some of our Late French Immersion students, which is fantastic to hear that student voice. We are going to review our application process and also the timeline for applying. And we will have some time at the end of the presentation for any questions that you may have. So for the questions, you can type a question in the Q&A box, and the questions will not be visible to all the participants. So don't be worried if you don't see your questions right away. We have Christine Canis, who will be helping us collate all of the questions, and at the end, we will have opportunities to answer them for you. So we will be addressing the questions through, not throughout the presentation, but you can ask the question throughout the presentation. And if we need to, we can pause for further clarification or just review for further clarification towards the end of the presentation. If your question is not answered this evening, please just reach out to us by email and we will be happy to connect with you. So we have some key contact information for you toward the end of the presentation, and I will pause that screen so you can go ahead and take a screenshot of it or take a photo of it Just so you know that this presentation is also recorded tonight, and it will be posted on our district website. So if you have friends or if you want to review any key points, you can always access the video through our district website at a later time, after some editing, of course. And if you're not presenting tonight, please mute your mic and turn off your camera, because this really does help put the focus on the presenters themselves. So thank you very much for doing that. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and move on to our first section, which is an overview of the Late French Immersion program. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the presentation over to our school teams. They will also be joined by some students. We have Lily, Kaylee, and Theo, who are from Diefenbaker, who are going to be speaking tonight as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Madam Regina Bosallo, and I'm the principal at Diefenbaker School. I have the pleasure to introduce you to this wonderful late French immersion program available to our future next year's grade 6 students. So the program is certainly an intensive way to learn French beginning in grade 6. French is spoken and listened to throughout the day, but it is also a very fun and effective way to learn French. Our French immersion classes are one of my favorite classes to visit. There's a lot of hands-on learning. There's learning that's catered to different learning styles. So as much as French is practiced throughout the day, it is done in a very fun and interesting way. As I said, students are fully immersed in French language within the classroom. So they will be speaking French, practicing French, listening to French throughout the day. Emphasis is certainly placed on building their vocabulary, so increasing their knowledge of French words and oral language skills at the beginning of grade 6. So there'll be a lot of listening to French examples, modeling of French, and beginning to speak and practice themselves. All core subjects are taught in French, and learning is equivalent to students in English programs. So whatever it is that our grade 6 learners are learning in the English programs, that is what our students are learning in this particular grade 6 late French immersion program. Now over to Mr. Cameron at Whiteside Elementary.
Thanks, Regina. So Whiteside Elementary is the lovely school that Sarah and I get to call home every day. It's nestled in the beautiful South Arm Park. Across the field from us is the South Arm Playground, followed by the South Arm Community Center, and then McRoberts Secondary. We have about 410 students, and like Regina just said, the LFI classrooms are some of them our more favorite ones to visit throughout the day. It's an eclectic group of children that come and visit us from different schools in grade 6 that always create just a buzz around the school, bring all their talents and uniqueness from their different communities. From around Richmond, we have two classrooms. We have our grade 6 classroom with Madame Hartman and our grade 7 classroom with Madame Rojak. We also have early French immersion, so those students that started learning French in kindergarten. And we have a wonderful community with our English, LFI, EFI, and neighborhood programs all nestled together, sharing learning and the experiences. Thanks, Regina.
Thank you. Similarly, our Diefenbaker Elementary School, we are located in the beautiful Steveston area, west northern side of Richmond. Currently, we have almost 400 students. We're at 385 students. And we host both the late French immersion programs in grade 6 and 7, as well as the English neighborhood programs from kindergarten to grade 7. So we're what's called a dual track school. And both the students in both programs learn together throughout the school and share our lovely space in Steveston. Currently, we're very fortunate to have four late French immersion classes, two grade six late French immersion classes taught by Monsieur Martinic and Madame Lupini, and two grade seven late French immersion classes taught by Madame Bourne and Madame Yick. All classes have the capacity of 28 students. All right. I'm happy to speak to all of you, to the parents of our future late French immersion students. So here you're probably wondering that your child will be beginning an intense program in French and how you could possibly best support them. So one thing to reassure you of and not to worry is that you do not need to know French to be able to help your child succeed in the program. There is lots of things you can do at home to help your child. One is just being supportive. Supportive of your child, helping them with their learning, discussing their learning with them. So just ask them, what it is that was exciting for them that day, and what it is that they have learned, and let them show you their learning. Also encourage them to continue to read and write in your home language. So, the way we learn languages is very similar, and learning one language helps them very much in learning a new language. Most of all, and most importantly, be their cheerleader. Celebrate their hard work, celebrate their achievements, celebrate their learning of new songs, of new vocabulary, and together as a family. Um, Please note a couple things. One, the school district does not provide transportation for your child to get to our schools. And also, our English language learners will not be receiving service nor support in their very first year of learning French. So that would be in grade six. Um, I'm going to hand this over to Ms. Canis. She has some wonderful resources for you as parents and as families to be able to access to support your children.
So as Regina had mentioned in the previous slide, you do not need to know French in order to support your child to be successful. With that being said, there are many different opportunities for you to support your child at home. And the first one here is the Canadian Parents for French, which is a volunteer-led organization that compiles a lot of the resources and gives opportunities to all students in early French immersion, core French, as well as late French immersion to share their learning. And so one particular event that we have every year within our district is called the Concours d'Oratoire, and it's an opportunity for students to present a speech in front of judges. And they also have the opportunity to then share that at the provincial level. And so even within the French immersion program, there's so many opportunities for them to succeed and to engage and to collaborate with other students in the same program across the province and the district as well. The second one is the French experiment. And so the French experiment gives you an opportunity as parents, as well as your children, to learn beginner French. And the one thing about this website is that it provides audios to some of the expressions and some of the language that your students or your children are learning at school. And so if you'd like to learn with them, you can go on this website, you can click on the audio, and you can practice engaging in French conversation with them. The third one is called IDELO. And if your child is already within the Richmond School District, they already have access to our digital library. And the one thing about that is if they are in the late French immersion program, they will then have access to the French websites that our district supports. And so one of them is called IDELO. And there you can switch between English and French. If there's something that you may not understand in French, you can switch it back to English to give you more of that information about either an activity or a video. And so once again, even with the digital library, they'll have access to many different other resources to support their learning in school and at home.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we are going to talk a little bit about the student experiences in late French immersion. And to kick us off is going to be the admin team here. Oh, sorry about
Oh,
that.
sorry, I thought that was me. I'll check
Madame
out then.
Lupini, yes, thank you for
Oh,
representing
Madame
your
Lubini,
school.
hello.
Hi, hello, bonjour tout le monde. Je dois dire au début, I'm just going to say at the beginning that unfortunately, I think we'll probably be running on time, but I do have to leave at 6:30. So just in case, je vais parler encore de toutes les choses que vous avez déjà dit, all the things that you have already heard. When I am teaching in late French immersion, and I have taught both at Whiteside, where I began teaching late French immersion, and also at Diefenbaker, where I am now, both grade 6 and grade 7, this is the way I teach. Je dis quelque chose en français, and at the beginning, I will then say it in English. At this point in our grade 6 program, there is as little English in the classroom as possible, and that is the way we create this kind of artificial bubble of immersion. But what I'd really like to do right now, before we run out of time, is make sure that I have, let's see, who do we have here? Do we have Lily and Kaylee? I think I saw both of you on the list. If you can unmute right now, est-ce que vous pouvez dire bonjour et je m'appelle pour les spectateurs ici? Are you here? Bonjour. I asked these two very late today if they would join us because I do think that for parents, and I was a late French immersion parent, by the way, I think it's always reassuring to hear what straight from the horse's mouth, as one would say, students think about the program. So I wanted to ask both of you really quickly, est-ce que vous pouvez dire de qui a dit ça c'est un bon choix? Who was for whom was the idea to come to French immersion? Lily, do you want to start? Whose idea was it for you to come to French immersion? Have you unmuted? Yeah. Oh, we can't hear you. Kaylee, can we hear you? Can you guys talk?
At first it was kind of my parents that wanted me to go to French immersion, but after a while I actually got really immersed into the program, and now I stay because I want to. I've made many new friends. I love learning this language, so that's why I stayed here.
I just want you to know they're not being paid, and I didn't choose the best students of the whole world. They all say this. I'm just saying that. And what about you, Lily? Tu peux parler maintenant ou quoi? Oui? Nope, you're still unmuted. I mean, you're still muted, I think. Okay, can you work on that for a second? Maybe we have to unmute you from our end. Okay, so I'll keep asking you, Kaylee. One of the things that kids worry about because they're leaving at the end of grade 5 and they're coming in grade 6, they worry about whether they're going to fit in and what it's like to leave their home school. Can you address that? Where did you come from?
So personally, I have actually stayed in Diefenbaker since kindergarten, but when I joined immersion, more than half the class was actually new. So if you're scared like you're going to be the only one there, you're not going to make any friends, you do not have to worry about that. Almost everyone will be new, and you will most definitely find many new friends in French immersion.
Yeah, that's true. I know that Lily is a really good friend of yours. You didn't know each other before. I think in general, what we find from the students who are coming to the program, that they often begin as a consequence of their parents encouraging them, we'll say, to come to the program. But once in it, they're all in the same boat. They all come from different places. They all feel the anxiety naturally of starting to learn math, science, social studies, everything in another language. But their level of fluid intelligence for the acquisition of language is extremely high at this age. They learn very quickly, and they become very invested in the program and usually continue on through high school and end up graduating with a bilingual bac. I think that's all I need to say right now. That's okay. Thank you. I hope we can hear a little bit later from our other friend Lily, but who knows? Thanks.
There are many different types of students that enjoy and thrive in late French immersion. Like I mentioned earlier, each one of our LFI students brings their own set of talents and uniqueness to our community. But there are some things that set them aside to have success as soon as they come in. A big one is that they're risk takers with their learning. that they have a joy of learning, that they like to pick up new things, that they like to meet new people, and that they've mentioned even just a passing interest in learning a new language. So as we heard our wonderful students mention earlier, that it is often a parent's choice for their children to go into late French immersion, that those that thrive inside of our LFI classrooms are those that are enjoying learning a new language, love the new challenges inside of a classroom. We also have many students that come committed to the LFI program, that they know that they're undergoing a big change. And like Madame Lupini said, my child is also in late French immersion right now, and she went in with both feet and excited to go into a new school, into a new classroom, and learn all the different traditions that a school can bring. Um, we like students that can challenge themselves, that they may be leaders in their class or on their sports teams or in their music lessons and around the community. A big part of it's the social aspect. So we do our good jobs making sure that they feel comfortable and safe inside the classrooms. But then outside at recess and lunch, it's up to our wonderful children to make new friends and experience all the sights and sounds of a new school. We love seeing new and curious students that have enthusiasm for their learning come into our classrooms. We also appreciate strong readers and writers, those that have a good solid foundation in their home language or in English, and that approach learning with a positive attitude. It is a big step for these 11-year-olds to come into our schools. And so we want them all to be prepared with the unique challenges that LFI bring, knowing full well that they'll get the support of the school team around them when they do.
So again, I'm Saul Stevenson, and I'm the vice principal at Diefenbaker, and I have a long standing experience in French immersion. I've been a French immersion teacher for many years. I was actually a French immersion student as well, and my own children are also in the program. So when parents ask me and when students ask about homework, I think that it's fair to say that the expectation for homework goes up a little bit in intermediate for all programs. So whether they're in the English stream or in the French stream, there is going to be a little bit more homework when you're in grade 6 and 7. Having said that, I would say that it is a reasonable amount of homework. It is something that is definitely supported by the classroom teacher, and parents can support their students, their children with different resources that Kristen showed, for example. The one thing that I would say is a little bit different is that additionally to the homework that's given, I think most French immersion teachers will always recommend that students read in French every evening. This is something that is huge in helping grow vocabulary, increase fluency. And I know myself as a French immersion teacher, I always recommend that students look for ways to listen to French as often as possible. So that could be watching French programs, even French cartoons, things like that, as frequently as possible. So yeah, I think it's quite manageable. And I wonder if maybe this would be a good time for Lily to see if she can try to unmute again, or Kaylee, and just sort of mention how they feel about the level of work and the homework. How's it going, Lily? Did it work? No, I can't hear you. How about Kaylee?
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of homework in grade 6 and grade 7, but at the start, they will sometimes give you like vocabulary to learn because, of course, you're learning a new language, you need to learn more and more vocabulary so you can actually become fluent in the language. But as you go on, you get less and less homework since you finish most of the stuff in class and then you increase your vocabulary so you don't need to learn as much anymore near the end.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks, Kaylee.
Hi, is that me again? Who's that? Is that me? Oh,
Yes.
okay. All right. So again, I mean, as we are closing, don't have too much time. These are quotes that students have said. I would like to reiterate a kind of feel like I need to talk about homework for just a quick second, defend myself. There is homework, but it is not necessarily challenging homework in that these are concepts that you are learning in the classroom, and then you are just practicing, you're writing, you're using a multiplicity of ways to cement these new ideas and these new vocabulary in your head. So the reading part is really essential. The other thing, just to reiterate, is that there is in grade 6 in my classroom, there's not a single word of English anywhere in my classroom. So if your child is just an emerging learner in English, you need to know we will not be able to support that ELL until grade 7. Nevertheless, we've got, I think, 2 students, well, at least one of the students who's joining us tonight who has at least one other language, and it is very normal for kids to find that every subsequent language they learn after their mother tongue becomes easier and easier to learn. So it's fantastic to have kids who are speaking at least 2 languages before I ever even meet them, and then they add the third and the fourth. I just think it's important to understand that I am 100% confident that their French will get great by the end of the year, but I'm not really able to have the time to improve their English. But it will, just by osmosis, just by the fact that they're studying language and deconstructing and constructing languages. I would say that the idea of starting everybody at the same point, at the same classroom, is very important. I would also say that what is the common factor for all of these very diverse students is that they love to learn. So if you're coming to French immersion, whether you are a star in math or whether you really excel at telling stories or you're a big science nerd, you have to love to learn. And if you don't love to learn, it's very hard to motivate yourself when you begin sounding like a kindergartner. So you're saying things like, I see blue, I have ball. I mean, that's pretty discouraging for students who are used to being really clever, but they can do it if they love to learn and they proceed really quickly. I don't think that student engagement or student happiness has ever been an issue in late immersion. Ça, c'est tout.
I can add a little bit to what Andrea has shared, as these quotes have come from Diefenbaker and Whiteside students. Unfortunately, we didn't invite any of our Whiteside kiddos to come and join us, but the majority of our kids do come with a love for learning, and they have that adventurous spirit, but also they're a huge part of the whole school community as well. So they may be learning French inside their classrooms, but we make sure that they're a part of our everyday school life. We involve them in many of our school activities. At Whiteside, we're actually a triple track school, which is slightly different from Diefenbaker's because we have early French immersion as well. So we give our late French immersion students opportunities to become leaders. As they get a little more language, they become buddies to our little ones in early French immersion, and they're able to read together. In terms of the whole school community too, they become leaders as well because they're in grade 6 and 7. They do a lot of, they're involved with our basketball teams, which involve all the students from all of the class, all the streams. They become lunch monitors, etc. So they're a huge part of our Whiteside community, as they are at Diefenbaker, I'm sure.
All right. What subjects are taught in the late French immersion program? So when you're entering grade 6, all subjects are taught in French. The grade 6 level focuses on acquiring and picking up more and more French language skills and vocabulary. So you need to learn important words to be able to make sentences, to be able to communicate and use them in a meaningful way. So the first term of grade 6 is quite intense in just how many new vocabulary and strategies and communication skills the students are able to pick up and then use and practice. In the second year of late French immersion in grade 7s, students continue to learn all subjects in French, but there's an additional English language class added. So students are learning what's equivalent, as I mentioned, what the students in the English program would be learning in grade 6 and 7. And in grade 7, it is when the English component is added to the curriculum.
Excuse me, je m'excuse, je dois partir. I have to leave right now. I'm so sorry. I'm going to be exiting the meeting, but obviously if there are any questions or follow-up or anything that can come through our administration to me or directly, I have no problem talking at length. I'm quite passionate about the program. I'm from British Columbia. I mean, I grew up partly in British Columbia, but I'm from Montreal, and I really love to continue the language learning here with la langue française. C'est formidable. So thank you, and I'm sorry to leave, but I'm going to skedaddle right now. So thank you so much. And any questions, please direct them to me. I'm going right now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye,
Thank you,
mes amis.
Madame
Merci
Lucchini.
beaucoup, vous deux, les étudiants. Je vais vous voir demain. Chocolat chaud. Hot chocolate for you guys for playing. Okay, bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Madame Lupini. Thank you.
I think this is my slide as well. Okay, so you can just see we had the opportunity to scan our students at Whiteside, and you can see one of the quotes from one of our former enthusiastic grade 7 students that they think is an incredible opportunity and is able to learn so many things. And I think the key phrase to take from this quote is, I think it is great if you want to challenge. So it's a great program for those students who, like we said many times already, that the students who love a challenge and love learning. So
And like Sarah had mentioned earlier, like every elementary school, there are many ways for our LFI students in grade 6 to connect with their community. We have the same sports teams and band. We have a show choir. There's a student leadership conference at the beginning of the year that all of our grade 5, 6, 7 students participate in. So our grade 6 LFI students get to know all the other intermediate students at Whiteside. We have our clubs, we have outdoor ed, so all of our grade 6 students go camping together throughout the year. We have our sports day. And then on top of all the regular elementary school activities and busyness, we try to provide many different French experiences throughout the year. So we'll have French performances in the gym. We send our groups out into our community for cultural activities and field trips. We've had the Maple Man come. We've done crepe making. They've gone to Granville Island. So we want to really embrace the French culture as best we can in Richmond and around Metro Vancouver and showcase these experiences to our LFI students. But it's a great opportunity for kids to experience elementary school with just some extra bonus cultural experiences on top.
Okay, thank you very much to our school teams for providing such a comprehensive overview of the program and providing that invaluable student voice. So next, we are going to talk a little bit about the application process and timeline. So we are going to begin with who can apply for the program. And this is a program that begins in grade 6 and continues on into grade 7. So for 2 years. So this is the Late French Immersion program. And any current grade 5 student can apply for the program. So if you currently have a grade 5 child at home and they are expressing interest, now we had 2 school teams, both Whiteside and Diefenbaker, has gone out to the community and visited every single school to talk to students directly about the program. And it was the Late French Immersion teachers, sometimes accompanied by the admin of this school, and also Christine Canis, our French K-12 teacher consultant, also accompanied a group of students that went around to talk about the program and their own experiences. And sometimes it is really nice to hear from somebody who is your age, and it makes it much more relatable. So hopefully some of your kids have come home expressing interest and excitement into wanting to learn more about the program. I myself got a chance to take a look at Blair's presentation last week with Madame Lupini, and we had 4 students from Diefenbaker visit Blair last week after McKay, and it was just amazing to see the students and their growth in such a short amount of time, and their confidence really shone through. So hopefully you've had some exciting news come home your way, so maybe that's why you're here tonight. So if you would like to apply for the program, you do need to complete an online application, and there is a process over at our school district website. So if you go to the main district website, or you just type this one in directly into your web browser, it will bring you to the district program options application. So some of you may have joined us for our DPO nights, or district program option evening. That happened in, I think, December or late November. And that talked about our early French immersion, our Montessori, and also late French immersion. So you may already be familiar with this process, but the deadline to apply for late French immersion is coming up very soon. And as a matter of fact, it'll be this Friday. So January 17th is the deadline. And you will be notified of the result of your application on February the 4th. Here is a quick timeline of the applications, and this timeline is inclusive of all of our district programs. So the application period began in November, and it closes this Friday at 4 p.m. So please make sure that you complete that application form before that date and that time. If you have any questions, you need to contact the Program Options Department, our Central Registration Department, and they have someone helping you from Program Options. You should also receive a confirmation email once you have completed the online application. If you have not received a confirmation email, please email the Program Options email that is on the screen right now, and they can follow up with you. By February 4th, on February 4th, you will be notified by email the status of your child's placement or waitlist. So if we have more interest than there are spaces, students will be put on a waitlist. February 7th is your deadline to accept the placement for the spot that this district will be offering to you. So we cannot provide they cannot provide acceptance prior to that draw taking place. So it is all lottery. If we have more interest than there are spaces, there will be a lottery draw that takes place. So if the district does not receive an email response by this time from you, your child will be moved to the bottom of the wait list. So it is very important that if you get that email offering you a spot in late French immersion, that you respond as soon as possible, and by latest February 7th at 4 p.m. On March 10th, the schools, so this will be Diefenbaker and Whiteside, will receive their placement lists. So they will get their fresh list of students who will be joining late French immersion in grade 6. We will have wait lists for early French immersion, so that's EFI for grade 1, LFI grade 6, and Montessori grades 1 to 4. But then they will be dissolved in September. So in September, students do need to already have a spot in a school. So by September 12th, that's the latest date there, where we are going to dissolve all the wait lists, and there will be no further placements after this date. And the last date there is not relevant to tonight's presentation. That's waitlist dissolvement for early French immersion and also Montessori. So that is a quick timeline, a capture of dates that you need to pay attention to if you are applying to this program, and we're hoping you all will. So like I mentioned before, if you have any questions regarding registration or any questions around our district program options, there's a telephone number there on screen for you, and also an email if that's your preferred way of communicating. So feel free to take a picture of that or take a screenshot. Again, this recording will be made available to you on our district website. Okay, so as promised earlier, here are some key contacts for you if you have any questions about late French immersion. So there's Brett's email address. He is once again the principal at Whiteside Elementary. And Regina's email address, and she's the principal at Diefenbaker. And there's my email address there if you have any questions. So I will leave this up on screen for now while we answer any of your questions. So there was a Q&A option. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to type that in now. And Christine, who's been helping us collate some of the themes, can share any of the frequently asked questions with us now, and we will try our best to answer them. So Christine, do you want to, or maybe do you want to share, I know Lily had an issue with her microphone, and she wanted to share some of her experiences as a late French immersion student. Would you like to share that now, Christine?
Yeah, I don't think she had the opportunity to type it in
Oh, okay.
at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. So maybe if she gets back to us before we end the night, we can always circle back. But maybe we
Okay.
can start with a question.
Yeah. So the first question asked is my child is currently studying at Whiteside Elementary and her sibling is enrolled in early French immersion. Does that mean that this child would get priority in the LFI program?
So the answer to that is no. Both the children have to be enrolled in the same program. So it would have to be for both late French immersion. Brett, am I correct in saying in answering that way? Okay.
Yeah, the applications are treated independently, unfortunately. We hope that everybody can get in so the siblings are together, but unfortunately, they're just treated differently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
One had asked if I could share the resources. I'm not quite sure if they can see it though. So if that person would like to just confirm. But another question asked is if the child takes LFI in grade 6 and then after 1 year wants to go back to English in grade 7, is that possible?
Sure. Regina, would you like to answer that question?
Sure. We do everything we possibly can to support your child in grade 6 to thrive in their learning. So we would have a meeting and we would just talk about what it is that we can do. Now, if we have exhausted all of our support, then yes, it is possible for your child to go back to the English program, space permitting, of course. So there's a registration process that needs to be followed. But as I said, we do not encourage it. We really want to be able to support your child, encourage perseverance, resilience, and all those good things first before we would allow for something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Regina.
Another question here is if my child gets accepted into the program, but then midsummer wants to change our mind, can we go back to English? What would be the process for that?
Okay. Brett, are you familiar with that process?
About transferring back?
Mm-hmm. Midsummer, if they change their mind.
Oh, like this summer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you change your mind midsummer, our wait list is available until the beginning or the first week, end of the first week of September. So if you
Mm-hmm.
change your mind and want to return back, I believe that you can cancel your entrance into LFI and be placed back if there's space at your catchment school. And then for our LFI classrooms, we would go to the wait list to welcome a new student. We hope that when you do apply, that you take this time seriously, that you really think through whether this would be a perfect option for your child. And if so, apply away. If you have other questions, you can always reach out to us during the week to get a better sense of what the program would be like too.
Mm-hmm. Am I correct in saying that if you do change your mind partway through the summer, that you will have to, and you may not get a spot in your catchment school?
That's right. You most likely
Okay,
would have to re-register with
that's
the
right.
district for a position for a spot back at your catchment school. So essentially, if you take a space in LFI, that you cannot hold a space in two different schools at the same time. So if you take a spot in LFI, you are now a student of that school in the following year, and that space is now given to another student at your catchment school. And so you'd have to reverse the process by re-registering again.
Yeah, so this is a big consideration. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Brett.
And then there's a clarification, or will all subjects be taught in French?
Okay. Soledad, do you want to answer that question?
Sure. Yes, all of the subjects in grade 6 LFI are taught in French exclusively. There is no English language learning in the grade 6 year. There is in grade 7. So grade 7 LFI, they'll have, I can't remember the exact amount of hours per week, but that is added as part of their curriculum to prepare them for English studies in high school. Which I'm just going to add one little note that the program doesn't end in grade 7. It actually does continue in high school. And I think that's a really important factor for those who are considering doing the program, is that there's an opportunity for continuous growth. And really, once you make that decision to commit, it is very fulfilling, and you can go all the way through to grade 12 and get a double dogwood. So you would get a diploma in English and in French.
Thank you very much for adding that very important point, Soledad. Thank you.
All right, our next question is, my catchment is Whiteside, but Diefenbaker is closer to me by bus. Can I apply for the one that is closer to me? I'm assuming by bus. Or is that dependent on the catchment? Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Regina?
Yes, we've had a situation like that, I believe. You still need to apply at your catchment school, which would be Whiteside, and then space permitting, we would be able to accommodate you at Diefenbaker. So it just depends whether there's a wait list or not.
Great, thank you.
And then we have another question here about siblings. And so if I were to get into the LFI program at Whiteside, can my younger sibling in grade 3 also join the school? Our catchment is not Whiteside.
Unfortunately, no. We are a full school, so that we have a wait list for our neighborhood program. So we are closed out of catchment students. So as I mentioned, my daughter goes to LFI, my two sons go to another school, because that is the choice that we've made as a family. And so in yours, the younger sibling would have to remain at their catchment school, and then the older sibling would go to LFI.
Okay, thank you.
We do have just something to add from Lily. She was able to type something.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Great.
So she just wanted to add a point about friends, because everyone who enters the LFI program, they're all new. And so she wanted to share that I know that making friends is common worry. So I just wanted to say that when everyone's in LFI together, we're able to make friends easily. Because it's a new experience for all. And we're all, beginning a new program together. So that sense of community is there.
That's lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lily.
As of right now, I don't see any other questions.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Christine, for facilitating that for us. Like I said, we do have the emails on the screen there for you. So if a question comes up tonight or next week or whenever, just feel free to email any one of us who are presenting to you tonight. But that does bring us then, if there are no more questions, to the end of our presentation tonight. So I would like to say a very big thank you to our presenters who have joined us tonight to help with this presentation this evening. We all have very busy lives, so but I do appreciate the co-presenting that we've all taken on for tonight as a team. So thank you very much for presenting tonight, the presenters, and also to all of our families, our parents, and our guardians for making time to find out more about the Late French Immersion program. So we do hope to see you and or your child next year in one of our Late French Immersion programs. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope you have a good rest of your evening. Thank you, everybody.